pre-pandemic rates as far as driving goes.
While it will be tough to get back to pre-pandemic insurance rates, there are some things you can do to make sure you're getting the most value out of your premium. First, make sure your policy is accurate. If you've had a recent life change, like getting married or changing jobs, that can impact your rate. Next, make sure you're shopping around when it's renewal time, and ask about any discounts that you may not have taken advantage of yet. That includes being a homeowner, having multiple cars on your policy, or even getting a discount by taking a defensive driving course. But bank rate experts say it's rarely a good idea to scrap comprehensive and collision coverage to save money.
If you're thinking about taking off like comprehensive and collision, keep in mind that comprehensive is fairly cheap. And
take your seats.
Good morning, everybody. I always hate to break up this great conversation in the room, but we have such a packed agenda and a time schedule for the governor today, who we're excited to welcome. So good morning and welcome to the State of Economy presented by Reynolds American Inc. Thank you so much for joining us, and we cannot wait to hear from our governor, Josh Stein, here shortly. But first, I'd also like to pause. We have many of our elected officials locally and across the state here today with us, so many that we can't call them all out one by one, so they're on this screen, and we'd like to ask all of our elected officials to please stand so we can give them a big round of applause. It's really bright up here, so I couldn't tell if they stood, but thank you to all of our elected officials for what you do for us, especially our Forsyth County commissioners and city council leaders that are here with us today. We are so grateful for your support. We also have many sponsors that we'd like to thank. In conjunction with Reynolds, we are honored to have some of our other sponsors, like our supporting sponsor, a Legacy Federal Credit Union, who's here today. Our floral sponsor, Truliant Federal Credit Union, for providing these wonderful centerpieces to help make this event pop and be extra special. And we have many gold sponsors that have stepped up to help us fill the Benton for a sold-out lunch today. So I'm going to read those out as you see them on the screen as well. Atlantic Union Bank, Forvis Mazars, Haynes Brands, Inmar Intelligence, the Carolina Corps, Wake Forest University, and Womble Bond Dickinson. Let's give them a big round of applause for their support. We also have many of our visionary investors that work with us throughout the year to help make all of our events possible and really support our mission. So thank you, Atrium Health, Wake Forest Baptist, Novant Health, Reynolds American, Truist, and Wells Fargo for your support as well. Let's give them a big round of applause. And to all of our amazing table sponsors that helped us put 630 amazing business leaders into this room, we'd be here all day if we read this list. So just take a moment and let's give all of you, our members and our supporters, a big round of applause for your support. So now it's time to take a moment to recognize our presenting sponsor, Reynolds American Inc. If you haven't been able to see yet on your table at the screen, they're celebrating a pretty big milestone here in Winston-Salem, the 150th anniversary of its original founding. Over time, Reynolds has played a pivotal role in shaping our city's growth and economic landscape. And if you think about our city without Reynolds, it's a scary thought. And we're so thankful for the first 150 years and ready for more. A little fun fact, our organization, the Greater Winston-Salem Chamber, was formed and incorporated in 1885, just 10 years after Reynolds American joined Winston-Salem's community. And we were originally known as the Board of Trade. Throughout the generations, the Reynolds organization has been actively involved in the Chamber of Commerce, which is a testament to their long-standing dedication to supporting business and community development. I am pleased and honored today to welcome David Waterfield, President and CEO of Reynolds American Inc., to provide a welcome from our presenting sponsor. But first, please turn your attention to the screen for a sponsor video as David joins us on stage.
Winston-Salem, born out of Haynes, Wachovia, Piedmont Airlines, and R.J. Reynolds. Our city has a history of innovation, hard work, and dedication. Reynolds Carolina Credit Union was first created in 1967 to give RJR employees access to low-cost loans and savings. Rebranding to a legacy in 2001, we focused on our allegiance to progress and innovation while remembering our legacy with Reynolds Tobacco Company. Today, we honor R.J. Reynolds for 150 years of impact in the Triad. And as a legacy has continued to expand and innovate across the region, our core mission remains the same: to serve our employees, our members, and our community.
A story continues to be written, rooted in commerce and echoed through a community. This is the story of a company that opened doors to a city and helped build the foundation for what it would become, united by a culture of excellence, innovation, and resilience, driven by the belief that hard work and dedication create a future worth investing in. From the ground up, we grew a proud workforce, a diverse community, an industry leader, an economic engine, and a partnership built for generations. You know the names, and you know the stories, because they are our names, our stories, our legacy. Reynolds American and Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Together, we are building a better tomorrow.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Mark, and to Governor Stein and Mayor Joines, elected officials, business and non-profit leaders. It's an honor to be with you today. Thank you all for joining this year's State of the Economy event. As Mark mentioned, this year is particularly meaningful to us as we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. And we are very appreciative of our long-standing partnership with the Chamber in supporting business and economic growth in Winston-Salem and across the state. In fact, North Carolina remains the #1 tobacco-producing state in the country and is responsible for approximately $75 billion worth of state's direct and indirect revenue each year. I'm sure my accent gives it away, but I'm not from, this wonderful community. I was born in the United Kingdom. I've spent many, many years living and working abroad, but based on that long experience, I can tell you that Winston-Salem, which I now very much call home, is a special place indeed. And of all the places I've lived, I've never witnessed a company and a community connection as strong as the one we have here in Winston-Salem. Since its founding, the Reynolds organization has strived to be a cornerstone of this community, and our roots are deeply embedded in its growth and development. So let me share some facts that will bring this to life. Since its founding in 1875, the Reynolds organization has expanded from the original 4,500 square foot Little Red factory, just a couple of blocks from here, where RJ started the business, to the 2 million square foot Reynolds Operations Center, which was opened in 1986 in Tobaccoville. Now, this facility was the world's largest and most automated cigarette manufacturing plant at the time. And today, as we transform to smokeless products, it is not only still the epicenter of Reynolds manufacturing, but it has evolved to become the largest multi-category manufacturing facility for the company worldwide. And as our business changed, we remain committed to actively supporting a thriving economy in Winston-Salem, donating approximately 5 million square feet and 560 acres of development land at an estimated property value of around $200 million. These grants have been the foundation for approximately $2 billion of direct and indirect investment in Winston-Salem over the last 10 years. And of course, a thriving economy requires well-paying jobs. Today, the Reynolds companies support thousands of jobs in the local area, and we continue to add new skills and capabilities to support our transformation. In this year, 2025, we're on track to hire for 300 new jobs, adding to the 500 new positions we created last year. Now, none of this will be possible without the partnership of this community, from attracting top talent to workforce development and creating a vibrant community where people want to live and raise a family. Collectively, we are shaping an economy that thrives for the generations ahead. As we look to the future, we remain focused on building a sustainable business that we can all be proud of. Today's state of our economy conversation is essential. It's an opportunity to think about the challenges we face and, more importantly, the solutions we can create together. The Reynolds organization appreciates being part of that ongoing dialogue. So on behalf of Reynolds and our outstanding employees, we look forward to working alongside each of you to contribute to a strong, resilient economy, ensuring the future of Winston-Salem offers a better tomorrow for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, and thank you to the Reynolds American leadership team and their many employees that are here continuing to grow right here in Winston-Salem. Before we move on, at your table, there's a really nice special card that tells you some great little facts about Reynolds American, their 150th. And there's a nice little gift of a custom lapel pin celebrating this wonderful occasion. So I want to make sure you grab that before you go today. Thank you so much, Reynolds. So thank you to our sponsors, all of you, for being here. We're going to take a brief pause for lunch. We're going to, of course, be ready for when Governor Stein arrives. So listen out for the show's about to begin again video, and we'll be back very shortly for the rest of the program. Enjoy lunch.
The show is about to begin.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I know you may have just gotten your plates, but we are ready to keep this program going so we can maximize our time with Governor Stein when he arrives. So welcome back to the State of Economy presented by Reynolds America. And we're so excited for the conversation that we're going to have shortly, talking about our economic impact here in Forsyth County and Winston-Salem first, and then of course across the state. But before we do that, we have another order of business that we'd like to do. Normally there's an award presentation that takes place at our annual meeting every year where we give out awards that are really exciting for our community. And normally that's done later in the year, like I said, in November. But we have something today that we're going to pull out and do today instead, and that is our Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award. So to help me give out that award, I would like to ask Jimmy Flythe of Duke Energy and board member of Greater Winston-Salem Inc. to come to the stage to present the Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award. Jimmy?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mark. Each year, Duke Energy is proud to recognize the efforts of local individuals who are truly impacting our community for the better. The Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award is a tribute to those people who dedicate themselves to a lifetime of service. I was just sitting at the table, we were talking, we've been presenting this award since 2004, so just a great list of community leaders. This year, it's a true honor to present this year's award to Graham Bennett, and I think we're probably surprised, Graham. Graham has been a lifelong resident of Winston-Salem, and like his father, Bert, Graham has dedicated his life to not only running Quality Oil, the family business, but also service to our community and the great state of North Carolina. After graduating from UNC, Graham had the opportunity to work for Governor Jim Hunt in Raleigh. I would imagine this is what sparked his lifetime interest in public services. After Graham's time in the governor's office, he joined Quality Oil, where he remained for 47 years and served decades as president. During those 47 years, Graham and his wife Janice raised 3 wonderful children here in Winston-Salem. What makes Graham remarkable is that during his spare time, when he wasn't running the company and raising children, he spent countless hours serving on numerous community statewide boards, including but not limited to Brenner's Children's Hospital, Wake Forest Baptist Atrium Health, the Winston-Salem Alliance, and many more. Some of you may know that Graham recently retired from Quality Oil, and most people, after all those years of service, you might imagine would just find a beach somewhere to relax and kind of focus on themselves, but not Graham. In the last 30 days, he has been named chair of the PTI Airport Board and has also been appointed by Governor Stein to the North Carolina Board of Transportation. It doesn't appear that he's going to be slowing down anytime soon, which is great news for our community. Graham Bennett's lifetime of work as a business leader, a community volunteer, and an advocate of our community in Raleigh are what makes him exceptional. I'm proud to present this year's award to Graham Bennett. Come on up, Graham.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let's give Graham one more big round of applause. We know Graham is not finished yet, and we talk about slowing down. I think when you get that Department of Transportation license plate, you get to go a little faster too. So, Graham, we're excited about what's ahead. So as we are prepared for the governor to join us here, I'd like to just take a brief pause and take a little bit of a look at what's happening here in Forsyth County, Winston-Salem, as a proud part of the Carolina Core. So we're going to show a few slides here and talk a little bit about our economy locally. There we go. First, I'd like to recognize our Board of Directors of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. Without our Board of Directors' leadership, the work that we do here in our community and our wonderful team, wouldn't be possible. So I'd like to take a moment and ask those board members that are here with us today to stand for 1 second so we can give you a big round of applause. Thank you for your leadership. As you may have heard, Greater Winston-Salem Inc. has set out a 2030 vision, and that 2030 vision talks about being the top mid-sized city in the Southeast, to be in a more equitable community, and to be the best place to raise a family. It's hard to believe we laid that out 5 years ago in this very room, but we promised you then that we're going to have dashboards. We're going to show you that progress of how it's happening in the community. Now, I'm not an economist, but I'm going to do my best to explain some graphs here in just a minute. But first, let me show you the dashboard that we're talking about. These are just a few of the areas that we measure to see if our work is impacting our community in a positive way. Total employment continues to be on the rise in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. Our population growth continues to grow, and I'll show you some charts in just a moment how that trends. We also have great graduation rate. So that first one where you see the yellow line is the 4-year graduation rate that has stayed stable over the last year, which is at 85.4%, which is the highest in the history of Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. Just below that is the 5-year track, where some students, that have gone through COVID or need a little bit extra time are graduating at an 88.1% clip. We are really close to getting to that 90% graduation rate that we've talked about and laid out from our superintendent of schools and the school board. And so that's a fantastic thing as those students are getting ready to take the next step in their career. And then median household income. We talk about being a more equitable community, and there's different ways to measure that. And I'm excited to participate with the Winston-Salem Foundation just next month in some conversations around that. But you can see our median household income continues to rise, and we're really excited to see that. We know there's more work to do, but at $65,541, we've made a significant jump over the last 5 years. Apologies, I think the battery on the clicker died, so we're gonna keep trying. So I pulled this out last year. It's our labor force participation rate. This is something I want to just continue to call out as we look ahead in Forsyth County. In Forsyth County, a labor force participation rate is any able-bodied individual over the age of 16 that wants to have a job, and that's at 61.8%. So 61.8% of those individuals are in the labor force looking for a job. And how does that stack up? You can see some of our neighbor Guilford across the Carolina Core, as well as Mecklenburg and Wake. So Forsyth County trails a little bit in that spot, which is why we're partnering really close with our friends at Forsyth Tech and others across this region to do that. The state of North Carolina, we are above average as you look at the labor force participation rate across the state, and right there at the national average just below. So this is something we need to watch and continue to work on to make sure everybody in our community who wants to have a job has the right skill set and career readiness opportunities to achieve their goals right here in Winston-Salem. Great, thank you. All right, so now this is my attempt at showing some graphs and see if I can explain these right. Pretty self-explanatory here, the labor force. Of course, on these next 4 charts, you're gonna see the COVID spike down there in 2020. But this looks back over the last 10 years, and you can see our labor force is continuing to steadily grow in the number of participants in our labor force. The down dip that you see at the end is not adjusted for seasonal workers, so that kind of sees a dip at the end of the year in December as you go into the winter. That's something that we watch for, and we're going to be tracking as we go forward in 2025 to make sure we're going back up. But you can see the talent the rush on talent is so critical to all of you that are employers, and this is something that we really have to take a focus on as we continue to look forward. On the next slide, please. All right. Let's go back one. Hold on one second. All right, unemployment rate, great. So here on our unemployment rate is about 3.7%. So you can see over the last 10 years, we have been low and we've stayed lower, and we're right on average with the state at 3.7%. So that's a really low number, right in the line of the state. But we have to continue to track this to make sure with the gap in participation and the unemployment rate that you, the employers, have access to high quality talent here in our region. Across the triad, there's 1.6 million people in the Carolina core that are ready and able to participate and grow in our economy. And this is something we have to continue to watch. As you know, the average drive time in our region, 22 minutes, you can get anywhere you want in our region. And so people are looking to cross those county lines, and we have to continue to look for that. But our Forsyth County leadership has done a great job with the employment rate. Our next one is percent of population below the poverty line. So this is great that this chart is going down, because we talk about economic mobility and economic opportunity, and we've seen a decrease in the total percent of population below the poverty line. So we think our work and our efforts with all of you are working to help make sure there's economic opportunity and economic mobility for the citizens of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. And we hope that continues to grow down. We've got one more slide here. Thank you. Our median household income. We talked again about being that number, that 65,000 number. You can see that trend and that big takeoff. Of course, there's inflation and other things to consider, but our household income is continuing to go up, which is showing positive opportunities and wage earners being able to make living wages. And that's really amazing. You think about Winston-Salem State, who the governor was with just earlier this morning. Think about Forsyth Tech having enrollment at an all-time high. You get to work with our partners at UNCSA and Wake Forest University. You can see that there's a hunger for these young people and adult learners to get back into the workforce and provide for their families. And that's what we want. And when we talk about the best place to raise a family, we want to make sure our community have the opportunity to grow in that household income. And then population growth. We have to make sure there's enough workforce here for you, and that population growth is continuing to climb. People have heard about Winston-Salem, they've heard about Forsyth County, they're growing here, they're raising a family, and it's really exciting to see that continue to grow up. So on labor force participation, back on that, we have that partnership called Forsyth Works. Hopefully many of you have heard of that with our partners there at the bottom, Forsyth Tech, Goodwill of Northwest North Carolina, the school system, and Forsyth County, who gave us a wonderful grant to launch this program. You can see up at the top our great friend Paula Dibley at Forsyth Tech. Those are students that just were at risk of dropping out of high school that participated in our Senior Academy program, where they paired up one-on-one with mentors just like you. And 111 of those students went through that program. 98% of them are graduating, and they all just earned pre-acceptance letters to Forsyth Tech. Let's give that a big round of applause. Those 128 students in our Aspire program are students at our Title I high schools that have participated in employability credentials. So they are in addition to the 25 adult learners that have taken that employability credential, and they participated in paid internships right here in Forsyth County. Those are young people ready to get into the workforce. We've had wonderful stories such as Novant Health, who's hired some of those interns that they had to become on their team as they continue to take the next step forward. And it's really exciting to watch these young people see there's such a hope and optimism for all the different career paths that they can take, continuing to work on that. And then Workforce Wednesdays, a new thing that Forsyth Tech launched on Wednesdays. Their students can participate with meeting right with you. If you want to go on campus and talk to the future workforce of tomorrow and they want to hear about your company, this is a great way to do that. So all of our partners are offering amazing support services to make sure everybody has the right tools to participate and enter back into that labor force if they haven't entered, or coming back to it, or help to make them have those economic opportunities that we're looking for. So with this great talent, we're able to then start recruiting companies. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So here's some of our most recent wins that we've had. And I just want to call out just to give a little perspective of the growth. Over the last 10 years, We have had, from 2010 to 2020, there were 2,200 jobs announced. And just since 2020 to 2025, we've had 2,700 new jobs announced in the last 5 years, with the most recent being those 300 from Reynolds American. So let's give them another big round of applause. As of this morning, we had 73 active projects in our pipeline, and the Carolina Core is in play for over a third of the total projects considering the state of North Carolina. So our region is one of the biggest driving economic engines in the state. And we'll say that again when Governor Stein walks in, so he makes sure to hear that as well. So let me show you a couple projects on the next slide. These current projects, these 5, are some of the ones that are right here on the tip that our team, Ellis Kiefer, JT Warren, Trey Blackwood, all of our team members at Greater Winston-Salem are working on trying to recruit. As you can see, you have a variety of those different industry sectors, and we're working really hard to try to land those. And our last slide here, as I'm getting the sign that Governor Stein has arrived, if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Is people are finding out about Winston-Salem Forsyth County. You hear in our video, it's not a secret anymore. Top 100 best places to live. By Wallet Hub, the number 2 best city in the country for business cost. The number 20 best cities for young professionals by Forbes. Let's just pause on that one. That's something that if you would have told us about 5 years ago, would have been on that list. We had a lot of work to do. And we're working hard to make sure you, our companies, have access to top talent and having a wonderful lifestyle and community to attract top young talent. And we're the number 7 top city for life sciences construction. I see our partners at Innovation Quarter here with us today. Innovation Quarter and IQ2 in the future in that space is putting us across the world recognized for the innovation in biotech life sciences. So Winston-Salem is well positioned. And as we look ahead, we're going to continue to support our partners in downtown retail, restaurant growth, continue to have that lifestyle, continue to work with our young people and make sure they have all the opportunities that they want in front of them, and make sure that we're continuing to focus on infrastructure. So now we've got Graham fighting for us for the Beltway. We're working with our commissioners who are focused on supporting future industrial growth. Our city is working on innovative spec building loan programs that are going to open up new product to be able to recruit companies, and we're really excited for what's ahead. So now it is my honor to recognize our board chair who helps lead us in these efforts, Mike Lancaster, who's the president and CEO of Bloom Construction, so that he can introduce to you our governor, Josh Stein. Mike?
Well, Mark mentioned to me right before he headed up here that if there's a red light in the back of the room that the governor is not here yet and I needed to stall. So I've been Googling dad jokes because that's all I have in my repertoire. I'm thankful that I think the governor is here so I don't have to stall. But thank you, Mark. Well, last fall I addressed you as the incoming board chair at our annual meeting, and we celebrated at a sold-out event being recognized as the National Chamber of the Year. I'll repeat that, the National Chamber of the Year. That's a big deal. Well, today we have an even larger number gathered for the state of the economy, and I think that's truly a reflection of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc., the team and their drive to continuously improve our community through business success, economic growth, and talent and workforce development. I'm honored to lead this board. I'm honored to serve Mark and his team and the impact that they have on this community that I call home, and a place where my business is, Bloom Construction, that continues to thrive. The work of GWS as our local chamber is important to implement a vision for our community where all businesses thrive. And we know that a productive collaboration with our elected officials at all levels of government help us push forward initiatives that support this vision. That's why today we are grateful to Governor Stein for spending time with our Winston-Salem and Forsyth community, and we're thankful for his administration's efforts to secure economic and workforce opportunities for all North Carolina citizens. Josh Stein is serving his first term as North Carolina's governor, during which his priorities are to bring people together to help Western North Carolina recover from Hurricane Helene, create economic opportunities for all North Carolinians, invest in public schools, and keep people safe. Stein is not new to public service. Here in North Carolina, he's previously served as North Carolina's Attorney General, as a North Carolina Senator, and in the North Carolina Department of Justice. So please join me in welcoming our governor, Josh Stein.
Very kind of you all. Good to be with you. Mike, thank you for that introduction. Mark, thank you for your leadership of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. You all are doing incredible things. I see Representative Brown. I know maybe Representative Baker is here, Senator Lowe, Mayor Joins, all of the elected officials in the room, of which there are many, and now I made a mistake by starting this process. Good to see you. Thank you for what you do for the people of Forsyth County. I want to congratulate and understand Graham Bennett just won the Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award. Very well deserved. Where's Graham? Well done. I want to thank all of you for what you do in your each unique way, for creating a vibrant economic climate here in Winston and for North Carolina. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask y'all anyway. It's about North Carolina. Who here, like me, loves North Carolina? We're pretty blessed to be of this place. North Carolina is home to friendly and good people, home to remarkable natural beauty, home to small businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Heck, we're home to the best barbecue and basketball in America. North Carolina is home. And what we pray is that our kids and grandkids, and your kids and grandkids, also want to call this state their home. You know, our state toast declares that North Carolina is where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. That is the promise of North Carolina, that where you come from should never limit how far you can go. Delivering on that promise is what drives me as your governor, just as I know it drives you. Much of North Carolina's recent economic success can be attributed to the leadership and hard work of many of you in this room. North Carolina has been ranked in the top 2 states for businesses 4 years running. We are the 3rd fastest growing state in the nation, trailing only Texas and Florida since the last census. And Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. has been integral to this success story. You all have helped generate more than $800 million in capital investment, creating over 2,000 jobs just since 2020. Granted nearly $1 million in minority business enterprise grants. Your education and talent development programs are creating opportunities for economic mobility for all the people of Winston-Salem. It is no wonder that you all were recognized nationally as the 2024 Chamber of the Year. What an incredible recognition. I want to congratulate Mark and their team. I was just telling Calvin outside that when the remarks were prepared and I looked at them and said, y'all won the Chamber of the Year award, it wasn't clear in my remarks, was it for North Carolina or the country? And so I did my own internet research. I'm like, this is not of just North Carolina, this is of the country. That's really an incredible accomplishment. I look forward to continuing to work together to harness the great economic momentum that we have here in North Carolina to position the region and our state for success for generations to come. We've created real momentum in North Carolina, but we cannot just rest on our laurels. Other states want what we have here. We've got to stay on our toes. We've got to stay hungry, strengthening our economy, enabling businesses to thrive and workers to prosper. We've got to not only grow the economy, but also make sure that its benefits reach every corner of this state. To continue the success, I'm committed to partnering with you all to build a workforce with the education and experience needed to drive economic growth and ensure that North Carolinians across the state are able to build a career. For the past 2 years, We've been in the top 3 states for workforce. So we've seen success. We just have to continue to build on it. I am committed to increasing economic opportunity for every person, for workers, business owners alike, by increasing the number of skilled workers who can build a career here in this state. And know this, while I am governor, no state will outwork North Carolina when it comes to developing our workforce. As a state, we can set the national pace for growing the number of skilled workers, doubling the number of apprentices over the next 4 years, empowering hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians to get the credentials that they need to secure good-paying jobs. We have to support Propel NC, a funding model that rewards community colleges for certifying students in high-demand sectors like advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and IT. And for students seeking those certifications, we should make community college free. In my budget proposal I recently submitted to the General Assembly, I propose directing $250 million throughout the biennium toward workforce development. I'm recommending that we expand apprenticeship programs in state government so that we can recruit and retain talent to help serve the public, help small businesses and farmers recruit and retain talent, and establish a rural apprenticeship program. I've gotten to see the success of apprenticeships up close and personal through a program just up the road, Surrey Yadkin Works. Surrey Yadkin Works is a workforce development partnership among Surrey and Yadkin County Schools, Surrey Community College, and local employers. Students gain skills by participating in a learn and earn model where they're paid for their training. It is a great return on investment for employers who get to train their next generation of employees homegrown, and they can count on them to stick around once the apprenticeship is over. In January, I visited Surrey Yadkin Works partnership with Alltech, a manufacturer, where students are pursuing careers in advanced manufacturing as part of their high school education, and the school is physically located within the plant. In March, I got to meet a couple young women, Emily and Haley Oriana, 2 nurse apprentices at the Northern Regional Hospital in Mount Airy. Emily is about to graduate with her resident nurse credential and already has a job lined up at Northern Regional's ICU. Haley is pursuing her own training in labor and delivery. Northern Regional used to have to depend extensively on expensive traveling nurses to address their nursing shortage. But now they have fully eliminated their dependence on traveling nurses thanks to this apprenticeship program dramatically improving their hospital's bottom line. I applaud Surrey Yadkin Works for creating a win-win-win, a win for young people, a win for our employers, and a win for the broader economy. That is why I am urging more K-12, community colleges, and industrial partners to come together to form apprenticeship opportunities for the people of this state. In fact, I announced a council on workforce and apprenticeships right here in Winston-Salem at Forsyth Technical Community College. Forsyth Tech is one of the largest community colleges in our state and boasts programs in nursing, IT, criminal justice, and several other disciplines. Along with President Spriggs, I had the chance to tour the Transportation Technology Center, and it was inspiring to see students applying the skills that they're learning. It was also a good thing that the race car I was driving was a simulator, not a real one, because I crashed multiple times. We have to build on the successes that exist in your region across this state. So I've charged our Workforce Council to do just that, chaired by State Senator Eddie Settles of Wilkes County, Secretary of Commerce Lee Lilly, and Community College President Jeff Cox, also formerly of Wilkes County. I'm eager to see the ideas that they generate about how we can advance our efforts to develop the workforce to meet the needs of industry in the coming decades. As we work to strengthen our economy, enhancing our talent pipeline is a critical but not fully exclusive part of the equation. We have also got to address costs and lower them. I understand that healthcare is a major expense for industry, just as it is for individuals. When a lot of people don't have access to health insurance, it raises the cost on all of us, because instead of going to get preventive care from a primary care doctor, they wait until the sickness is acute and they end up going to the emergency department, which is the most expensive way to provide health care. And we all pay for it once the person shows at the emergency department. This causes real problems in rural communities where the rate of uninsured population is higher and rural hospitals are precarious. That is why Medicaid expansion was such a critical bipartisan victory for this state 2 years ago. And just this month, we passed the 650,000 person threshold. 650,000 of our neighbors have health insurance today who did not just 2 years ago. So when they get sick, they can go to the doctor instead of going into bankruptcy. Just as we work together to pass Medicaid expansion, we must work together to defend it. There are federal proposals to slash hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid to partially finance tax cuts of trillions of dollars for wealthy people. It is a terrible trade for the people of North Carolina. We have to make this state attractive for workers, so we have to address the high cost of living. That includes the cost of housing and the cost of childcare. We have so many people who are moving to the state, as I noted, third fastest growing state in this entire country. There's that saying that if you build it, they will come. Turns out if you don't build it, they will still come. So we have to build it. We have to increase the supply of homes to meet this newfound demand. In my budget, I dedicate $60 million to leverage private sector and federal funds to develop more affordable housing and incentivize local governments to update their zoning ordinances so that builders can build more houses of all types. There are a number of legislators working on this issue of both parties. State Senators Tim Moffitt and Julie Mayfield, on a bipartisan basis, have introduced a number of bills last month to cut red tape that's inhibiting construction. One bill, for instance, would enable developers to build new housing in any area zoned for commercial or retail. They're thinking creatively about what can we do to make it easier to build housing so that people can afford to live in the communities in which they work. We can work across the aisle to get this done. We also need to lower the cost of child care. When we invest in our youngest North Carolinians, we set them up for a lifetime of success. We also help parents to stay in the workforce. What doesn't make any sense is even though a lot of folks want to work, too many of them cannot afford to work because they can't afford childcare if they can find it at all. There are 5 families for every 1 childcare slot in this state. Getting pushed out of the workforce hurts workers. It hurts businesses. It hurts our economy to the tune of about $5 billion in lost activity each year. My budget proposes providing a child care tax credit, a child tax credit, all to help parents, increases the child care subsidy rates across the state so that providers can increase salaries, expands pre-K across North Carolina, and creates summertime enrichment programs for young children getting ready to start kindergarten. North Carolina has to be a state where families can afford to live, raise their children, and work. And when we talk about the cost of living, we have to address the economic uncertainty resulting from the federal government's activities of recent weeks. In particular, I expect a number of you may share my concerns about the recent tariff announcements and the impact they're already having on business owners and consumers. Trade wars increase costs to North Carolina manufacturers and consumers and close markets to North Carolina exporters of products, including pharmaceuticals, machinery, electronics, among many others. That includes agriculture, the #1 industry in North Carolina. 25% of our agricultural products are sent abroad. We should be opening up new markets to our farmers, not having them be shut in their faces. These tariffs will prove costly to families and for businesses alike, including those trying to reestablish themselves in Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. If construction costs go up, let's say they go up 20%, we are going to be able to produce a proportionately fewer number of houses in reconstruction. It is just math. The tariffs on aluminum and steel are salt into the wound to Western North Carolina's craft brewers trying to stay afloat. And I know that's the same for your microbrewers here in Forsyth County. People and businesses thrive when there is certainty, not chaos. Even though some of these tariffs are on a 90-day pause, changing policies on a whim make it exceptionally hard for supply chains to reliably function. So we got a lot of things going well for us here in Forsyth, in Greater Winston-Salem, in the state of North Carolina, but national headwinds can have real consequences on us in North Carolina. Tariffs threatening to fire the Fed chair, slashing federal services, they have real consequences. We've seen a falling stock market and dollar. We've seen rising inflation and bond yields. Things are not going in the right direction for this country at the moment. Our business owners need and deserve stability. I do want to address Western North Carolina, just because I don't give a speech without doing it, because the needs remain so great. Small business is, especially in Western North Carolina, the beating heart of the economy. Those folks are struggling and need a helping hand. We have to support small businesses that are working to rebuild, whether we're talking about rebuilding physical structures or rebuilding the economy around them. My office has taken a number of steps to support small business. I'm proud of the partnership that we've formed with the Dogwood Health Trust and the Duke Endowment to create a $35 million small business grant program where eligible small businesses can apply for grants up to $50,000. So far, we've awarded nearly 1,800 grants to date, but the demand is overwhelming. There are more than 7,000 applicants for this grant program. So we have to scale the program, which is why I have urged the General Assembly to provide funding for small business relief. My administration is committed to doing everything we can to help small business owners of Western North Carolina keep their doors open through the spring so they can welcome visitors with open arms this summer and keep their employees on the job. Developing our workforce, lowering costs, supporting Western North Carolina, these are some of the most pressing economic development issues facing North Carolina. I know that the Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. will continue to lead the way, not only in this region, but the entire state, moving us forward. And I look forward to working with you all in the months and years to come, God willing, as we build a North Carolina that is safer, stronger, and more prosperous with real opportunity for every person. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Governor, and we're honored to have a few minutes with you today as well, to have a little bit of a conversation here and just continue to expound on the great words that you've said. First, thank you for your time here in Forsyth County and Winston-Salem. I think you've spent a little time here lately, and I know you were with Winston-Salem State this morning. So is Forsyth County a special place in your family?
That's a smart man. Yes, it is. My wife, Anna, is a graduate of R.J. Reynolds High School. She was born yesterday, 55 years ago, up in Elkin. And so we spent a couple days up in Elkin, and we were touring the Yadkin Valley wine industry. And I tell you, that was hard duty. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
But we did it. We did our part. And yeah, I have a special place in my heart for Winston-Salem.
Well, please tell her happy belated birthday from her Winston-Salem family.
She will be pleased.
Great. So we obviously, working and touring the wine country of North Carolina is work.
It is.
But outside of work, what are some hobbies that you enjoy if you ever get those moments?
I do. I make sure that I do. And even when I am working, I figure out ways to have fun, because you got to have fun. Life is way too short to not enjoy it along the way. So I love sports, big college basketball fan. Maybe in Winston-Salem I won't profess my allegiances, but I love college basketball. I like college football, although not as much. I love the Carolina Hurricanes. Going to go there for game 2 tonight. Let's go Canes.
All right.
Like riding a bike when I get a chance, and we like playing with our dogs, walking our dogs.
That's great. Well, we'd be honored to host you at a wonderful Wake Forest basketball game anytime you'd like to. So you've been in Forsyth County. You were here earlier today with Winston-Salem. You mentioned your visit to Forsyth Tech and Dr. Spriggs, who's
right here.
Also the chair-elect of Greater Winston-Salem Inc. Our partnership runs deep and work earn and learn apprenticeship programs across state, similar to the LEAP program here at Forsyth Tech. Tell us why these workforce programs matter so much to you and to the economy of North Carolina.
It matters to me because of exactly that. It is so critical to the economy and to people. Workforce development is what opens up doors of opportunities for people. What allows somebody to get a job that pays them a salary that's enough. It's enough to afford a house or pay their rent. It's enough to raise children, enough to take a vacation once a year, enough to save some money for their retirement. That's what we want for our people. And those jobs are competitive. There are a lot of people, those companies that offer those kinds of jobs could exist anywhere in this country, anywhere in the world. And we have a great product here in North Carolina, but we have to make sure that when we say to a company, come here, invest, put in up to billions of dollars in the ground in this state, and trust us that when you do so, there will be workers who can deliver the products that you're trying to put into the market. And so it's what strengthens our economy, makes us an attractive place to be. But the reason we want that is because that's what helps our people have better lives. And that's what we want.
Absolutely. And Governor Stein has been fantastic in helping recruit new businesses to come to the state of North Carolina, to the Carolina core. And we have a great partnership with Chris Chung at EDPNC. Can you share a little bit of insight of what are these companies looking for as they consider? You were just outside. We have 73 active projects considering Forsyth County right now.
That's awesome.
So help us. What's that secret sauce to land them in our community?
It's everything that we know and love about the state. It starts predominantly with the people. We've got to have a workforce that's attractive, that meets the needs of the employers. It's land. It's access to infrastructure, access to markets. The fact that we're on the East Coast, sort of in the middle, makes us very appealing. We have to have good and reliable, affordable energy. We have to have a healthcare system. That's one reason why Medicaid expansion is such a critical component. We had more hospital closings from 2010 than almost any state in the country. And when you have these rural hospitals closing, you're essentially saying to the world, this community can no longer support economic growth, because there's no business owner that is going to move their business and themselves and their senior managers to a community where they can't get health care if they get really sick. So strengthening the healthcare system is critical. The same with K-12. We've got to be able to say to business owners, you can come to North Carolina, we want your businesses in Forsyth, but we also want them in Ash and Avery. And no matter where you go in North Carolina, you're going to have a good teacher in your classroom. And so you can have the confidence that your kids are going to have the opportunity to thrive and succeed. That's why in my budget, I want North Carolina to not be second to last in the Southeast for starting teacher pay, which we are today. I want us to be number 1 in the Southeast for starting teacher pay.
Let's give that. I had on here potential follow-up on teacher pay. So thank you for covering that. You talked about the talent pipeline a lot, and it does start with pre-K and all the way to K-12. I just want to take a moment as well to talk about inclusive education. Mm-hmm. My wife and I are proud parents to a little boy who's on the autism spectrum. and he can do so many wonderful things. You just may earn and learn a little differently. Can you talk about just the importance of these young minds? And I know you're a big supporter in your budget of universal pre-K. Can you talk about why that's so important in the K through 12 cycle?
Basically, this world is so competitive, we cannot afford to leave anyone's talents on the sideline. And there is talent in every person. We just have to make sure that we give that person the opportunity to express it to the world and have confidence in themselves to be able to pursue whatever it is their dreams are. We know that the number one factor on education success, it isn't even the school, it's the family the kid comes from. I mean, that's the number one factor. So what we have to do is to try to make sure that as many people start the starting line of kindergarten as close to the same place as we can. That means making sure that we have excellent early childhood education programs. You know, there are some children whose both parents read to them every night, and that child may have thousands of words in their vocabulary when they start kindergarten. There are many other children whose parents, either they're single parent or they're working all the time, or it's just not a value in that household, where the child may have just a few hundred words when they start kindergarten. It's very hard at that point for that child to make up the gap, and we're talking among 6-year-olds. So what we have to do is support children from not only 3 and 4, but 0, 1, and 2 for kids who are in childcare, to give them that chance. We just want every single kid to have the chance to be whoever it is that they want to be. And when they do that, we will all benefit.
Absolutely. We have a project right now, an economic development project looking at our community that's saying we want childcare on site. And that's something that the economy and these companies that are looking in our state are really asking about. So it's land and talent and now childcare, to your point. So
there are things that businesses didn't used to have to factor into their bottom into their expenditures, their expenses, because they're like, that's not my problem. Whether now you have to help provide health care to folks, you need to have paying an apprentice, so you're actually paying somebody to get educated, but that returns to you because those people come and work for you and they're trained and they're loyal and you get a payback on whatever you invested. Now we have to be investing in childcare. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to have workers who can show up to work because it's just too expensive. The cost of childcare for an infant is more than what it costs to educate somebody at UNC Chapel Hill. It's just very expensive.
Well, Governor, we really appreciate your time. My last question is, a lot of times I know people come to you and ask for help and support this or that. Greater Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, we want to stand out in the state of North Carolina, and we believe in the Carolina core. Our region is a major economic driver. What can we do to help support you and to continue to help support the state and to stand out across our partners and across the state?
I think where we can come together as allies, and it's not supporting me, it's supporting North Carolina, is strengthening public education. There has been a lack of commitment. In fact, there's actually a hollowing out of K-12 public education in North Carolina. And if we are not careful, we are going to have a tipping point where 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to be asking ourselves, why aren't the companies coming here? What's wrong with our workforce that we're no longer an attractive destination? And it's because we are not investing enough in our kids' education. And so this is about you being very self-interested in what is your own self-interest, which is to make sure that young people in North Carolina have the skills and knowledge to succeed in life, but obviously it's for them. And so I ask you all to work with us to persuade the legislature that it is time to meaningfully invest in K-12 education in North Carolina.
Great. Thank you, Governor. Let's give that a big round of applause. Well, I made a promise to keep you on schedule. You've had a busy day in Forsyth County. You've got a big hockey game tonight as well. But everybody that's here today, thank you, Reynolds American. 150 years here in Winston-Salem, and we're going to have a lot more years ahead of us. David, thank you for your leadership to the Reynolds team. Let's give Reynolds another large round of applause. to our wonderful supporting sponsor, Legacy Federal Credit Union, our floral sponsor, Truliant Federal Credit Union, our gold sponsors, all of these wonderful tables. Governor, we sold it out. Sold it out. So we've got to have you continue to come back and spend time with us in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. He's on a tight schedule, so I apologize that we're going to walk just straight out this door while all of you get to continue to talk and mingle. We appreciate what you're doing for this community. We get to talk about these chamber recognitions and award, but this is your award. This is your community. This is your organization in Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. And that's why Winston-Salem and Forsyth County are so special. So thank you for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoyed it.